I was wrong. Last month, I made a prediction that didn't come true. Let's see where I missed the mark in this Toronto real estate market update. In Toronto's core, sales dropped as expected, coming in at 667, down from 1,137 in November. That's a 41% drop month over month, and that's a fairly normal drop as we've seen 47 and 49% in other years. Sales were slightly up from the 643 we saw in December 2023, which to me is a little bit discouraging as the winter of 2023 was a pretty slow time in the market. Meanwhile, new listings came in at 1,107, which is the lowest decline from November to December in the past 8 years, which means that there were actually a fairly high number of new listings in December compared to November. In fact, the 1,107 listings were the second highest amount in those last 8 years, coming in only behind December 2020 when the market was still playing catch up due to having an incredibly low number of new listings in March, April, and May earlier in the year. Now let's couple that with the fact that the total number of properties available for sale as of January 1st didn't fall nearly as much as the number of new listings, which means many sellers decided to keep their properties on the market instead of terminating the listing and trying again in early 2025. The question is, why? My guess is that the fall market wasn't a great time for sellers, but then the interest rates got cut in October and December by a total of 1%. So owners felt some optimism that buyers could be motivated to purchase, either due to increased affordability or potentially buyers being worried about what 2025 might look like for buying if the cuts continued and the market got more competitive. But it didn't really play out that way. December sales numbers were fine, but when you compare them to the total active inventory, we saw the inventory metric of months of inventory, or MOI, shoot up to 4.9, which is the third highest inventory metric we've seen for any month going back 8 years. Over in Etobicoke, North York, and Scarborough, we're seeing similar trends, but not nearly as pronounced in the core. Sales are down month over month, up year over year. New listings fell by 52%, but are only the fourth highest amount in the past 8 years compared to the core's second highest amount. The drop in new listings was pretty in line with what we normally see for November to December, but the total active inventory, like the core, was elevated compared to what might typically happen, which I think supports my thinking of seller optimism due to rate cuts. That inventory metric, MOI, went up to 3.8, but it only sits as the 8th highest number for any month compared to it being the 3rd highest ever in the core. So what is the big takeaway? The December market was anything but typical. The usual seasonal slowdown is here, but many sellers are staying in the game, likely due to optimism from recent rate cut. For buyers, this means that there's still a fair amount of inventory to choose from, though competition for well-priced properties is keeping the market active. For example, I sold a place December 11th that had 10 offers on it. So I said last month that December would be very seller-friendly, since it usually is, but I wasn't entirely correct. Individual properties may have done pretty well, like my listing I mentioned, but the market overall favored buyers last month. I've got my 2024 recap and 2025 prediction videos coming up soon, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss them.